Hey everybody, this is Matt. We're at Texas Toast Guitars. Thanks for watching. So this is video number 2 in our series of how to build the best possible guitar necks you can, the best necks in the world. And today, we've already shot the video, so I know exactly what's coming, so I can tell you what's you're about to see. Today we take and route for our truss rods. In this case, we use the double acting rods that we get from our friends John and Cheryl at Bitterroot Guitars. Link in the description below. We put this truss rod slot in, and if you've been to one of our workshops, you might, if you've been to one of our workshops and you have a keen eye, you might notice that our truss rod slots look a little different than they used to. Yeah, we have altered the truss rod slot just a little bit, but it's still the same thing, same kind of deal where we have this opening here for the truss rod wrench to go in, and same rod, same everything else. Let's have a look and see what Brandon is up to. Now, you might see in some of this video footage, he's got a neck that's already, the profile is already done, and in some parts of the video, he might be using a big square. And that is because we are using our truss rod slotting jig. So you know what? I was about to go, enough with the bullshit talk. Let's jump right in. But the fact of the matter is, I need to tell you guys a little bit about the jig that he's using and why it works so well. So this is another thing you guys are going to hear me talk about a lot in this video, is how much I like these Maximum Guitar Works. Again, link in the description below. Templates, and I use, these are the ones for the necks, and you see they've got these steel pins, and what you do is you drill, remember in the video from last time, we drill, where are they? The little pinholes on the back of the neck. And again, we do this kind of opposite of what Steve had originally intended, but it works for us because we've got pin routers and they're upside down and backwards. So we drill the holes in the back of the neck using the steel inserts, and because they're all the same, it doesn't matter which headstock we're using, doesn't matter the length, the pins are all in the same spot, and the nut location is all in the same spot. So we can take one of our blanks and put that onto our jig. Let's look at that real fast. All right, so this crowded mess of stuff here is our truss rod slotting jig, and you'll notice there are some pins. And what happens, guys, let me see if I can do this. Let me see if I can do this so you can see. Those holes line up with those pins. So the neck indexes, let's see if we can get it here, one-handed, there we go. So the neck actually indexes on those pins, perfect every time. And then we use these strap clamps here to clamp it down and hold it in place. Now, what you may not know, what you can't see, is on the other side of this jig, is our truss rod master route, and this is in MDF. We just backed it up with some super glue, so it kind of strengthens it a little bit. And of course that follows the pin that matches, come on now, there it is, that pin right there. So I hope you guys like my one hand operating the camera, one hand showing you what's going on. So now let's jump in and watch Brandon route some of these truss rod slots. Again, it doesn't matter if the neck has been profiled or not, because they have these holes on the back, holds it in place perfectly every time. so that's how the truss rod slots go in. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to draw the outline of the neck, rough cut it on the bandsaw, and then go over to the table router. Yes, I said table router, not the shaper, and we're going to get the profiles done. One of my favorite things about using Steve's templates for necks is that I can take the template off and put it back on, and it's perfect every time thanks to these pins that I use. Now I kind of use them backwards of the way Steve had originally intended, in that I put them on the back of the neck rather than on the glue side where the fretboard goes. But you can certainly do it this way, or you can do it the way that Steve had originally intended, because they both work great. So this one is a carved top Challenger neck, so I want to find the Challenger neck, and I want to make sure I index it correctly. And I like to put a little bit of tape in the middle and a little bit of tape on the headstock. Okay, and then these pins are actually going to do all of the rest of the orienting for me, and they're going to help hold the neck in place. And if I really am feeling like I need to, I can put the other two pins in. Okay, now on the this is for a Kaiser blade, which has, my Kaiser blade template is actually a regular Les Paul headstock, but because these pins here are in the exact same location as these pins here, I can do my headstock shape first, and then I can put the other template on and do the rest of the neck. So I'm going to go just around the headstock to where the nut is, and then I'm going to switch. Then I'm going to switch templates to the Kaiser blade neck template, because they're a little bit different. Mostly because the Kaiser blade joins the body at a different spot. So it's just a little tiny bit different than my Challenger or the prostitute neck. But I can use them interchangeably because these pins are all in the same spot in relation to the nut. Okay? Oh, and because they're the same scale, the relationship to the end of the fretboard also the same. All right, now we're going to go over to the router table and buzz these out. So not long ago, I would have done all of what you're about to see on my big shaper, and of course the shaper is a great tool for this. But because I'm showing you how we do it at our workshops, I thought I would show you how to do it on the router table. Now, the key to doing this is the infinity bit that I have loaded in my router table right now. Let's talk a little bit about what the differences are between a router table and a shaper, because you might just look at a shaper and go, it's a great big router table. Not really. Our shaper is, one of the neat things about the shaper is that it goes slow compared to a router. And it has way more power than any handheld router ever thought about having. So you can absolutely, and you should absolutely, slow down the cutting speed on your router if you're using one of the bigger infinity bits like I'm going to be showing you guys how to use on this one. I don't know what speed you should use. You got to try it yourself. The speed we're going to use today works great with Honduran and mahogany. Okay. The other difference is that the shaper can go clockwise or anti-clockwise. Like I said, it runs way slower, much more powerful, much bigger tool. And the neat thing about a shaper is the ability to build a bit. So you can have a great big flush trim bit like I do with a rub collar, and you stack all that stuff up. So you can have the rub collar on the top or you can have it on the bottom. You kind of assemble the cutting head as you go, whereas with a router table, generally speaking, what you can buy in the in router bit is what you got. You don't get to mix and match and make your own. So you could very easily build a shaper cutter or have a shaper cutter built that did a neck profile, that did, like maybe you did flush trim and the binding slot or something like that. So, but we just use the shaper just the same way we use the router table, but it's a little different tool. All right, let's show you what the router table looks like. Again, a lot of guys have router tables, not everybody has a shaper. last thing we're going to do in this video is get our fretboard's thickness. Doesn't matter if it's rosewood, ebony, maple, or in this case, this is some Yatoba. They all have to get exactly the same thickness. In this case, it's just over 1/4 of an inch. And of course, we're going to use the thickness sander to do that. You know what? A lot of people have asked me, why don't you use the planer to do that? Well, the reason is that sometimes some of this lumber can be kind of chippy outy, and there's no possible way. Now, I want you guys to remember this, not just when it comes to thicknessing fretboards, but when you're doing anything. There's no possible way to get chip out and tear out if you're using abrasive sandpaper or some kind of sanding tool. If you're using a cutting tool, it's very possible, and in fact, it's very probable on some woods to get chip out, tear out, that sort of thing. But it's impossible to do it if you're sanding. Well, there you go, guys. That should about wrap it up for this video. In the next video, we're going to put the headstock angle on and some tuner holes, and we will even get the fretboards glued up. But that's going to be a video for next week. So, guys, if you have any questions about what we did in this video, don't jump ahead. If you have any questions about what we did in this video, please leave them in the comment section below. If you like the video, give me the thumbs up. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please hit the subscribe button now. If you appreciate content like this, you might want to go over to our Patreon page and consider becoming a member, or you might want to join us on our YouTube membership. Now, membership does have its privileges. We've got a video series going on Patreon and YouTube member only right now that is neck through body construction, and so that's going on. I think we're at video 4 for that right now, but it's kind of like this, only neck through stuff. So yeah, lots of good stuff going on over there. If you guys can't do Patreon or join us on YouTube, though, we totally get it. Just share the video, like the video, etc., etc. It help us grow the channel that way. So until next time, this is Matt at Texas Toast reminding you that if you're so smart, start your own YouTube channel. That's what I did. We'll see you guys next time. Have a great one.